The 2024 F1 season will, for the first time ever, see the grid be the exact same from the end of one season to the beginning of another, and there will be no rookies at all. Whilst this might have been one of the dullest seasons in terms of driver changes, the silly season for 2024 has the potential to be one of the craziest ever. And in this video, I am going to be talking about 4 drivers who must improve in 2024, otherwise they may be at risk of losing their seat for 2025. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now, let's get to the video. Number 1, Kevin Magnussen. The Haas driver returned to the sport in 2022 after Haas dropped Nikita Mazepin, and that season saw Kevin Magnussen brilliantly score pole position at Interlagos and have a brilliant start to that year. 2023, however, was anything but impressive. Teammate Mick Schumacher was replaced by the returning Nico Hülkenberg, and Kevin Magnussen was very much overshadowed by Hülkenberg in 2023. The Haas car this year was hard to judge because in race trim, it was completely terrible. It was a terrible race car that was too hard on tyres and it just lacked race pace. However, the car was fantastic over one lap, at least in the hands of Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg outqualified Kevin Magnussen 15 times over the course of the season, and Hülkenberg was also able to score the majority of the points that the Haas team could assemble, as he scored 9 points to Kevin Magnussen's 3 points. Haas themselves have a lot of work to do for next season. If they do not improve in race trim, then the team will almost certainly finish the season in last place. If Kevin doesn't up his game though, I can see him losing his seat in 2025 for the young Oliver Bearman. Ollie drove the Haas car at the end of the 2023 season, and his pace impressed a lot within the paddock. Ollie won 4 races in his debut season in F2 in 2023 as well, and Bearman hopes to be in a similar position to Oscar Piastri by driving F1 cars as much as possible to prepare for the move in 2024. With this in mind, it instantly puts pressure on the current Haas drivers to perform, especially Kevin Magnussen, in my opinion. Number 2, Zhou Guanyu. 2024 will be the 3rd season for Zhou Guanyu in F1 now, and for me, this season will make or break the Chinese driver's career. In 2022, for his rookie season, he was beaten fairly comfortably by Valtteri Bottas, although this was expected because Bottas was just coming from Mercedes, and you're talking about a Mercedes driver, or former Mercedes driver, versus a rookie in Zhou Guanyu. In 2023 though, he did improve and get a little bit closer to Bottas. However, I don't think that it was by enough. The Alfa Romeo itself was not a great car this season, I admit, but once again in qualifying, Bottas was the star of the show, whereas Zhou was seemingly struggling, more or at least over one lap. In race trim though, Zhou was at times able to be quite a bit closer, and he did manage to beat Bottas more regularly, as he was 10-12 in the favour of Valtteri Bottas, so not too bad when you look at it from that way. When it comes to the points tally from 2023, there was not too many for Alfa Romeo, as Zhou Guanyu scored 6 points to Bottas, who only managed 10 points. Bottas had 4 top 10 finishes to Zhou, who had 3, which is not too bad overall. But with Theo Pourchaire waiting in the wings after winning the F2 championship, then I feel Zhou Guanyu will need to show more in order to stay in the sport. Almost thankfully for Zhou though, Theo didn't dominate as many would have thought he did, as he didn't win many races in F2 in 2023. This lack of wins by Pourchaire may have been viewed negatively by Sauber. In 2024, Pourchaire will be competing in the Japanese Super Formula, and his performances will be watched over very closely. This could be a saving grace for Zhou if Pourchaire doesn't perform. Alongside this, there is the question mark over the future of Bottas in F1. Even so, Zhou must improve, especially with Audi still waiting for their time to join the sport in 2026. Number 3, Logan Sargeant. Logan's debut season in F1 was not strong at all. Logan was completely outmatched by Alex Albon. Logan really struggled and was very often out in Q1, at the same time though his teammate Alex Albon was managing to get through to Q3. In terms of race pace, typically Sargeant was nowhere near Albon in this realm as well. Sargeant did manage to score 1 point in 2023 though, and he did finish in the top 10 that one time, But this was only on a technicality, as it required the disqualification of Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton from the United States Grand Prix at Texas. In qualifying, Sargeant was the only driver to be beaten by his teammate at every single event, as Albon beat him in all 22 races when it came to qualifying. In the races, it doesn't get much better. It does say Sargeant beat Albon 3 times, however in all 3 of those, Albon failed to see the checkered flag. Had he actually managed to finish the race, then it probably would have been likely that Albon would have beaten Logan Sargeant in those races as well. Albon scored the vast majority of points, with 27, which means Albon single-handedly got Williams to 7th in the Constructors' Championship. Now, this does all sound very negative for Logan, however, I do need to give him some props. At times towards the end of the year, it did seem like he was able to get a little bit closer to the pace of Albon, and for 2024 he really needs to carry on doing that. If he does not, then I fear he will lose his seat. Who will he lose his seat to? Well, I think there are 2 potential candidates, although one of them I believe is far more likely than the other. The first and most likely driver to replace Logan Sargeant would be Frederik Vesti. The Danish driver has been given a couple of sessions in the Mercedes, and I believe that with another year of experience, then it is very possible that he will be in a position to make the jump into F1, especially if we see him testing the 2022 car regularly through the year. The other driver, albeit far less likely in my opinion, is also a Mercedes young driver by the name of Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Andrea is a potential Italian star with the potential to be the next Max Verstappen. He won both the Formula Regional European and Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championships last year, and he has rocketed into Formula 2 with Prima, skipping out Formula 3 altogether. It will be very exciting to see how he gets on in that championship. If he wins this championship in his rookie year, we might just see F1's next superstar in the sport in 2025. Number 4, Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll may have the safest seat in the sport, at least right now. However, there is no doubt that Lance Stroll cost Aston Martin positions in the championship. At the very least, last year they should have beaten McLaren, and potentially even Ferrari or Mercedes. If you look at how Alonso still managed 4th in the championship, teammate Stroll was only down in 10th place. In qualifying, Fernando Alonso beat Lance Stroll 19-3, showing the domination of the 2-times world champion. In a lot of these, Alonso would have been on the first 3 rows as well, whereas Stroll would have been out in either Q1 or Q2. Going out early would always make Stroll's life a lot more difficult in the races. Stroll would be a little bit closer to Alonso in terms of race pace, but even so he was still defeated 17-4. Note that 17-4 only equals 21 instead of 22. This is due to Stroll's massive crash at the Singapore Grand Prix, which of course ruled him out of the race. Alonso scored a mammoth 204 points, whereas Stroll only managed to score 74 points. As I mentioned, he may have the safest seat in the sport. However, if Aston Martin does somehow end up in a position where they can fight for wins, and by some miracle a championship, then they are at risk of missing out. Having a second driver who can back you up in a race is vital to race wins sometimes, and Alonso will never have that, and Aston Martin will then miss out on Grand Prix wins. If he was to be replaced at the end of 2024, although like I said it's somewhat unlikely, I do think it would be likely that Aston Martin placed their rookie driver Felipe Drugovich in the seat. Now, as I said, I don't think Aston Martin will ever end up in that position, but one thing is certain, the second driver at Aston Martin right now is absolutely costing the team in prize money and positions in the Constructors' Championship. On the bright side though, I guess it does mean that they do have more development time to improve their car. So that is 4 drivers who I think must improve in the 2024 season. Do you agree? And also, who else do you think has to improve next year? In the comment section, do let me know down below. I have one more video to release in 2023, and I hope you will join me for that. But for now, as always, comment, leave a like, and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.